Morning, everybody. Morning. Um, we starting off early today, a little bit early, because I want to get a jump on this, and I think this is proof positive that the people that read the word um, simply read to get what they want out of it. They're not reading for what it says, like at all. I'm fully 100% convinced they don't care what it says. They look for confirmation to what they believe, and if it doesn't say it, they add. They can't confirm anything, so make your own confirmation. Now, the discussion is between two individuals, Jackie Hill Perry and Lecrae. And if you know anything about either one of them, neither of them you should be listening to. Not quite sure why we're even giving them a platform to give advice about their Christian walk, but here we are. Lecrae himself, he said that he doesn't think he's a Christian musician. He's just a hip hop artist. He's been denouncing his faith for forever now, but wants to act like he's straddling the fence. And then, the whole, well, pray for me, You can make your mind up about the rap music you do, but you can't make your mind up about God, then something's wrong. I really don't care about what your struggle is. If you can blatantly choose to continue doing hip hop, but you can't decide that God is it, then shut all the way up, Lecrae. Just shut up. Struggle this and struggle that and all that nonsensical talk is just a way for you to try and keep your foot in church and keep your foot in the world. You blatantly picked. I don't want to hear nothing out of you about you can't, or it's a struggle. It ain't no struggle because you already picked. You picked the world over God, and that was your happy decision. Just be honest about something. That's what the truth is. It ain't no fence straddling here. We know what side you on. Point blank, people, we know what side you on. You can't go somewhere and defend God, but you can defend hip hop. Whatever. As for the next woman, Jackie Hill Perry, so-called poet, hip hop, this and it's always hip hop. They always dabble in the devil's workshop to come and talk to you about God. They make their claim in the devil's kingdom, but want to come to talk to you about God. And then we have Nate Sala. Now, I've been on the fence about Nate for a while. And I think this particular thing threw me on the other side of the fence to decide whether or not what he is worthwhile to, at least to my walk. He calls his channel The Wise Disciple. But what you're about to hear him say makes me question the wise portion of it. Just being honest. It makes me question the wise portion of it. Now, this is coming from a man who said he is a former pastor. Okay? I want you to make that one set in. He's a former pastor. Which means if you were in that role before, the things that you were saying that is a surprise to you should never have been a surprise to you. Okay. Here we go. Oh, and I reserve the right to be upset out loud at the things you're going to hear. Okay, cool.
You ever hear someone say something so true, it just slices right through the noise? That's what Jackie Hill Perry just did, and she did it right to Lecrae's face. They were talking about Christian platforms, podcasts, YouTube, all of it, and Perry dropped this biblical bombshell.
Pause right there. Make sure you log that title. It is a biblical bombshell. Make sure you keep that in mind, okay? This is what they're calling. I'm going to write it down too. Biblical bombshell. Now, if someone tells you this is a biblical bombshell, you should be able to find it biblically, right? Am I wrong in assuming that if something is a biblical bombshell, biblically you should be able to find it blatantly? Boom, bombshell, there it is, right? Cool. Let's see if we can find this biblical bombshell in the Bible.
It honestly checked me as a content creator.
But you were a pastor. How could it check you? Wouldn't you have known about this biblical bombshell? Wouldn't you have known about a biblical bombshell being a pastor before? I don't understand that one. Especially a versed one with schooling. You would think that this wouldn't be a bombshell to anybody, considering how trivial her answer is and what kind of a small, stupid statement she's about to make. I don't know what's biblical or bombshellish about it, but hey, I'm curious now to see how this would be a biblical bombshell, aren't you?
Watch this.
This is teaching, and the Lord will judge us for how we handle this influence, how we steward this position. And I think if people had a concept of the fact that if I am positioning myself as a leader, then God will judge me as one.
Duh. That's not a bombshell. It says so in the book. How okay. How? Please tell me. Please, anybody out there, tell me how that's a bombshell. You would think kindergartners would know that's in the Bible. I swear, when people say something, some of the most trivial, simple, just kindergarten, like the smallest of entry level stuff, and that's a bombshell.
I think we would be slower to speak.
Did you just gently rebuke me?
And then, of course, remember who the two he's listening to get this biblical bombshell wisdom from. One who can't decide that he's a believer or Christian, and the other one who still can't decide whether she's a biblical person or Christian. They both still dabble in all of the ways of the world, but you're taking advice from them about teaching. I want this to be 100% clear. I really, really do. Let me do this for you. Hang on real quick here. Let me get her. I'm gonna read to you what they say she is. All right. She is an American poet, writer, hip hop artist, and Christian influencer. This is how they lay out her presentation. You don't put Christian first. No, you're an American poet, writer, hip hop artist, and very last, Christian influencer. You know, I'm often concerned about things like this. Because here's the thing, she's married, right? She's married. And they're going to be talking about covering and spiritual leadership. I'm questioning where the covering is in her conversation. Where's her covering? She'll be talking about the whole idea of church this and church that. Where is her covering? Where is he at? I just want to know where he's at. The virtuous wife has her husband known at the city gates. Nobody knows her husband's name. He's not in front of her. He's a so-called other fellow spoken word artist. But she's the one they're listening to. Not the covering, her. You never heard the covering come and tell anybody, hey, I give such and such permission to my wife to speak. Now remember, they decided to get married. They got married, which means she officially put herself under the headship of her husband. Am I wrong? Right? You put yourself under the headship of your husband. According to the Bible, you are to learn where? Under your husband. Anything you do has to be under the rights of what? Your husband. Where he at? Where he at? Listen to this. Preston is a poet, performance artist, teacher, and apologist, and Jackie is a Bible teacher and author. Listen here. I ain't going to try and take no advice from somebody who's running their own home as a woman and the man ain't the head. I ain't trying to listen to you. I ain't trying to listen to you. You still a stud. You still a stud because she was a prior former homosexual. You still a stud in your own home. You the head. You are the head. You list yourself as the Bible teacher. You a Bible teacher. That should have been the biblical bombshell that you should be talking about. That you got a woman up there talking when she have a whole man at home and he ain't saying nothing over her. She's considered a Bible teacher and he's not. That should be the problem right off the rip.
Okay, we need to talk about this, guys, because Perry just opened the door to something that's been bothering me for a very long time.
Why would it be bothering you for a very long time and not check it out yourself? If it's been bothering you for a very long time, why have you not taken the time to stop what you're doing, get it checked, and then come back? Why would you not do that? It obviously wasn't bothering you that much.
So let's get right into it. Welcome back to Wise Disciple. My name is Nate, and I'm helping you become the effective Christian that you were meant to be. Before I jumped into this ministry full-time, I was a pastor and a Bible teacher. And it's from that experience that I make these videos. Make sure to like, sub, and share this one around, because I think we all need to hear this message.
Now hear me out. You were a Bible teacher. That was you. And you are now getting this revelation. Whatever this revelation is, you now getting it. When you hear what this so-called revelation is, I want y'all out there to tell me if this is something bombshell or groundbreaking.
I think what we are seeing is envy.
Hmm.
I think what we are seeing is potentially, I think there are some people who are gifted prophetically, but they are functioning in ways where they don't have to submit to leadership.
Like you? You mean like you? What exactly is submitting to leadership? And what would you consider submitting to leadership in prophecy? Where in the word does it say your spiritual gifts should be dictated by leadership? Please show me where my spiritual gifts are dictated and controlled by a leader. I really want you to show me that. I really want to know. I want that would be the biblical bombshell to me. Here are some verses about leadership. Okay. We're going to go into Hebrews 13. And do not neglect to do good and to share with others, for such sacrifices God is pleased. Obey your leaders and submit to them. Okay. For they watch over your souls as those who must give an account. To this end, allow them to lead with joy and not grief, for that would be of no advantage to you. Pray for us. We are convinced that we have a clear conscience and a desire to live honorably in every way. Does that tell you that your leaders are supposed to control your gifts of prophecy? If he gives to some, he gives it. He gives it to some leaders, to some teachers, to some prophets. If he gives it, did he tell you in any verse that a pastor is supposed to delegate when that's used? Or does he do that? These people have become an absolute pariah because they're trying to make these preachers the be all and end all. And they will never define for you which preacher you should be under. Now, she could be talking about a whole different type of preacher than Nate would be, than even Lecrae would be. So which one am I supposed to submit to? Your kind or my kind? Do I find a pastor that agrees with my prophecy so then I can prophesy as I want, even if it's a lie? Where's the defining marker there? 1 Peter 5:5. Young men, in the same way, submit yourselves to your elders. And all of you clothe yourself with humility toward one another, because God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble. 1 Thessalonians 5:12 and 13. But we ask you, brothers, to acknowledge those who work diligently among you. Acknowledge. Who care for you in the Lord and who admonish you. In love, hold them in the highest regard because of their work. Acts 20:28. Keep watch over yourselves and the entire flock of which the Holy Spirit has made you overseers. Be shepherds of the church of God, which he purchased with his own blood. Anything about the gifts there? No. Elders who lead effectively are worthy of double honor, especially those who work hard in preaching and teaching. That was 1 Timothy 5. Romans 13:1 and 2. Everyone must submit to the governing authorities, and this is about the government, not the church, by the way. Ephesians 6:1. Children, obey your parents. Matthew 18:17. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he refuses to listen to even the church, regard him as you would a pagan or a tax collector. Where in any of this is it telling you that your spiritual gifts given to you as a gift by God should be under the tutelage of any pastor? Please tell me. We'll get to this so-called statement you're making here. This is not what Nate was referring to. I watched the video. It was to many teachers in many ways, even YouTubers. Okay. We'll get to that statement in a minute. We'll see if you're right. You're not, but we'll see if you're right.
So this is about 45 minutes into the full conversation between Perry and Lecrae. And I'll give you the link below because you can take a look at the whole thing. I think you should. But right now, Perry is talking about a lot of quote unquote modern day prophecy. She's saying a lot of it is just people making videos, but not submitting to church leadership.
So please, you tell me how I am wrong about what he's saying. Where does it say that I have to submit to church leadership to teach? I will wait for you to show me that in a passage, any verse. Show me. No. Show me. Show me. Don't pandering. This statement here ain't gonna make a difference right now, because this is some serious stuff we're talking about. It should mean this reaction because he's lying about the word of God. Why should I take that simply? Why should it not cause a visceral reaction? Why should it not cause a visceral reaction even for you? Why should it not? It's not in the word. That should matter to you. It should matter to everybody. It should matter to everybody because what they're talking about is some ideology of a specific church. This is what happens when you name something for yourself and it's not yours. It should be upsetting to you. It should be absolutely angering to you that this is even said.
And so, because you can see that with teachers. I can see people who have the gift of teaching, and because their pastor did not affirm that gift or position them at the pace that they would prefer.
You hear that nonsense? You hear that stupidity coming from this clown's mouth? Why should I be looking to a pastor to affirm something God gave me? Why? Where is that in the word? I would love to hear this biblically. That's all I want you to show me, Nate. Just tell me how you are biblically agreeing with this nonsense.
They went to social media because it's like, no, I'm gonna walk in my gift. It's like I waited and submitted myself to my leaders before, and still do when I function in certain stuff. And so I think
when you function in certain stuff, so she's telling you to submit in your gift, but I'll submit in certain stuff. The rest of it I don't need to submit to.
is people who are legitimately gifted, but just impatient.
Yeah.
So let me get this correct. I am legitimately gifted by God, but I'm impatient because man is telling me not to do what God gave me to do. So am I impatient? Or is the pastor in the wrong? But I must submit to him because he's what? By name, pastor.
That's good, because there's teachers like that. Like you're a great communicator, great teacher.
That's a lot of podcasting.
Facts.
Is you have people who might be gifted with exhortation and teaching, but they're moving out of order because they are impatient.
Out of order. Just show me the order. Show me the biblical order. That's all. Just show me that biblical order. That I'm supposed to wait until the pastor says go ahead and do it. Just show me that. I'll be happy.
That's good. No, that's
so facts. You're exalting yourself prematurely, and that's scary.
So the pastor has the right to exalt you, not. Wow. Okay.
I gotta say that because even with the podcast space, it's like James says, not many of you should be teachers, for you will be judged more harshly. You cannot think that just because it's not a pulpit, you're not positioning yourself as a teacher.
Is she right? If someone starts a YouTube channel and they start giving a word, or again, let me say it this way, quote unquote, a prophetic word, does that mean that they are teachers in the sense that the scripture describes? By the way, look at what James says, because Perry brought him up. James 3:1 says, not many of you should become teachers, my brothers, for you know that we who teach will be judged with greater strictness. Is Perry right? Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll tell you in a moment what I think.
And when you hear what he thinks, you might think, oh, he's going to rebuke that. You're thinking he's probably going to rebuke that, right? Okay, here we go.
Is teaching. And the Lord will judge us for how we handle this influence, how we steward this position. And I think if people had a concept.
Is that what he's going to judge us for? Or is he going to judge us for what we say? Is he going to judge us for how we steward the position? Where is that at? Or is he going to judge us for the things we preach? And if we are deciphering the word correctly? Again, reading is fundamental.
The fact that if I am positioning myself as a leader, then God will judge me as one. I think we would be slower to speak.
Did you just gently rebuke me? Is that what just happened?
If the Lord convicted you, that's between you and him.
I think that's what you did. I think you gently rebuked me. I think you did that. It's fine. I receive it.
You want to process that?
I receive it. I receive it. I receive the gentle rebuke. Reason why I receive it is because I know you care. You're not.
I wasn't coming for you.
I know you wasn't coming for me, but the Lord was. So
because I'm trying to broaden it, because people can get caught up in like, oh, she coming for the prophets. No. I think all of us who use words have to think through, am I using my words in a way that are faithful? Or am I using these words in a way that is coming from a different place than what God has called me to?
Like your position right now? Like your position right now, where you're speaking from a position you ain't supposed to be talking from. That is my biggest problem, and Nate doesn't touch it. A pastor, former pastor, my bad, does not touch that.
Yeah. And the Lord he cares about, especially now in the last day, like he cares about his glory.
Now that's interesting. Because initially it seemed like she was more narrowly focused on those who would give a prophetic word. Now she's just talking about anybody who's a podcaster or a YouTuber or whatever, right? Who is speaking to an audience in some way, shape, or form. In other words, she's suggesting that the utilization of your platform comes with a lot more responsibility than you think. Now, this gives me pause because social media has been primarily used as a way to curate your own life, right? This is what Facebook and Instagram are supposed to be. You post a picture because you got married, right? You post a picture because you moved. You know what I mean? You got a new job and you're excited, so you post a picture, right? You get a new family pet or something, so you post a picture. You post these things on social media. But wait a second. Along those lines, what if a Christian creates a YouTube channel to essentially film vlogs of their life?
Now, hear me out. This is where we are fundamentally going to split, him and I. It is on the definition of a teacher. This is where we are fully going to split, and we will never reconcile. No matter what he says, we will never reconcile on this. The definition of teachers by these people are always under giving it to you by some man. Always. Either by the affirmation of a man, the directives of a man, the teaching of a man, the certification of a man makes you a teacher. That's my problem.
And that becomes popular. Does that count according to what Perry is saying? I don't think so. I think what Perry is more concerned about is when Christians use their platforms to speak to their audience in ways that are persuasive, You know, this is why a subset of people on social media are called influencers. I think Perry is talking about these types of folks, right? Which, by the way, that's me. That's me too. You know, I'm on the hook for this kind of a thing. And I know a lot of people in the same pond as me who are also on the hook as well. So Perry's
On the hook to who? If you take the whole of what she is saying, is she is trying to tell people that the gift that God gave you has to be okayed by a man. She never defines how that pastor is, what the pastor teaches, just the pastor. Just be under the headship of some pastor, any pastor, just as long as it's a pastor.
comments, they're aimed at people like us. And the question is, does she have a point? And the answer is 100 million% yes.
So how am I wrong in my assessment of what he's saying? How am I wrong in the assessment of what he's saying? He just admitted it.
Now, I said this at the outset. This has been bothering me for quite some time. So let me put it this way. What is more important to Jesus? Your ability to speak or your ability to love?
What? You know what they could never define for me? What is love? What exactly do you mean by love, Nate? What is love? Is love this gentle rebuke every time, just nice soft talking to make everybody understand, and a stroke of the fur? Obviously, proper speaking isn't the marker. It's what you're saying. It's what you're saying. Are you forget the idea, oh, is it from love? Tons of people say I'm speaking from a position of love, and they're dead wrong. I could love the mess out of everybody and still not correct them. But I'm not loving them, am I? No. That's actually hate. We have come to this place where love has become this superfluous, nonsensical thing where you have to be soft with everybody. Genteel, soft-spoken. Stroke the fur, stroke the hair. If I love you and I see you running to a cliff, you think I'm going to say, hey, man, look, hey, oh, hey, I really love you and you shouldn't be running towards that cliff? Or will I take off running and absolutely Ray Lewis clock you off the side and make sure you land on solid ground? Then you get up and you say, why'd you hit me? Well, you were going for a cliff. And you weren't listening to reason when I was screaming at you, so I had to do something a little more drastic because I love you.
Think about that. Take a look at this. A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another just as I have loved you. You also are to love one another. This is John 13. By this, now here it is. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples, if you communicate the gospel in the most articulate way possible.
He's not talking to the world, though, Nate. He's not talking to the world. If you love one another, the body. He is speaking about love for the body. And if judgment's going to begin here, we have to be stern with each other.
If you're a great speaker and a communicator and you can destroy people in a debate. That's how they'll know that you're a disciple of Jesus? No. If you have love for one another.
Again, never goes into the explanation of what love is. That doesn't even touch the definition of love.
That's how people will know that you are Jesus' disciple. This is why the Apostle Paul puts it like this. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, if I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal.
It's talking to motive, not delivery, motive. If I'm not speaking in tongues as a motivating factor, because the tongues are not to the world, it's to the body. What did he say tongues were for? The edification of the body. If you speak in tongues that no one understands, it's to yourself. If it speaks to the translator, it's for the body. He's not talking to the world. How is this confusing to people?
And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but have not love, I'm nothing. You realize, like, this applies to everything, right? Like you could...
No, this applies to the body and our interaction with the body. Not everything written like this is for everything. It does not apply to everything. This applies specifically to the body. This is our problem. We want to apply everything as an everything statement. Include it's a jambalaya. Just throw everything in there. This is to the body. It's very specific.
Potentially be the greatest communicator in the world. You could have, again, the greatest prophetic powers known to man that anyone has ever seen, right? But if you have not love, it's all for nothing. All of it. You're just a bunch of noise. You're a bunch of noise adding to the noise that's already present in the...
Define love. I'm going to wait for that one. Define love.
World. See, I think a lot of people... a lot of us, we know about passages like this, but we haven't really thought about it. We haven't really let that sink in. You know what I mean? And we have to. I think it's a absolute prerequisite. We have to be thinking about these things, particularly those of us who want to get out there and we want to engage others on behalf of Jesus Christ, right?
Did you catch that? We want to. Did you get that part? We want to. That'll make more sense in a minute.
Actually, let me give you one more because, I mean, my goodness, this is all over the place in the scripture. Watch this. Matthew chapter 5, verse 2. Or verse 3, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
What does that have to do with the topic at hand?
These are the Beatitudes that Jesus gives right at the outset of his Sermon on the Mount. Actually, there's one more verse 11. There's another Beatitude. By the way, Beatitude is it's a Latin word that simply means blessed or happy. And that's how these all start, right? Blessed are you when you ... right? Blessed are those ... Now, here's a question for you, right? Take a look at this. Did you notice where it says, blessed are you when you communicate well?
What kind of a nonsensical inclusion is that? And why would you go to the level that think every podcaster out there's goal is to communicate well? I know quite a few good podcasters that don't communicate very well, but you can tell where their heart is. Y'all keep putting this stuff on folks. This communicate. But a pastor needs to communicate well, right? Does a pastor need to communicate well? Just a quick question. Does a pastor need to communicate well? Bet you're going to say yes.
Did you notice the verse where Jesus said, blessed are those of you who have really great marketability and you can leverage your platform to influence people?
Why is it only a platform? What about, you said we have to be under the headship of some pastor, right? What about if the pastor can't communicate well? What then? What if the pastor is horrible at communication? What now?
Right? Blessed are you, those of you who have the gift of teaching and you can do it like no other, right? You can spit bars all day long, right? Jesus doesn't say
that's what teaching is, spitting bars. Is that what teaching has become? Spitting bars? That's how we're demarking teaching now. A delivery system. Teaching is now delivery. Teaching is not substance, it's delivery. So there's where our problem is. You think that teaching is delivery. Well, I guess we got that answer.
Say that. Why? Because what Jesus is concerned with more is the quality of your heart.
No duh.
The quality of your character. As it turns out, the Bible.
If that's the case, why are you listening to those two? If that is the case, why are you listening to those two? They would be the very last you'd need to listen to.
Bible is way more concerned about your imitation of Christ than your influence for Christ.
Exactly what does it mean to be an imitator of Christ? Please tell me, what does that mean? I have so many questions that I doubt I'll get the answer for. What is an imitator of Christ? Do we walk around in sandals, walk for miles, turn water into wine? What do we imitate? When you say imitator of Christ, what do you mean? What am I imitating? You know, when they say that, you know what they always mean? His niceness, his sweetness, how he talked to people, how he was such a gentle individual. They're never going to tell you imitate and go flip tables. They'll never tell you imitate that part. That had a specific reason he did that, and you don't always meet that reason. So don't do that one. You need to imitate him by what? Walking up to people and say, come follow me. What exactly do you mean by imitation?
I mean, by the way, that's what a disciple is, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, Luke 6:40 says that a disciple is someone who is fully trained to be like their teacher.
In what way? In what way?
This is imitation language that the Bible uses.
Definitely. And
right?
How?
Imitation of the person of God, not information about God.
How?
I mean, listen,
okay, if I'm imitating God and I'm imitating Jesus, do I go to a pastor to get confirmation about the things I'm doing? Do I wait for a pastor to tell me, or do I wait for God to tell me? Do I wait for the Father to tell me what I'm supposed to do since I'm imitating Jesus, or do I go to a church and just have them figure it out for me? Remember, I'm imitating. If I am imitating, then I don't need to go to no pastor to have him delegate when my gifts should be used, should I? I'm imitating.
I'm getting worked up. I get emails sometimes from people, and I'm not even saying that the desire is wrong here, but I get emails and I get DMs sometimes from people, and they ask me to help them start a YouTube channel and to do what I do essentially. And Guess what? A lot of these folks don't even go to church.
What is going to church? Here comes the problem that he and I will never see eye to eye on. A lot of these people don't even go to church. Go to church? Remember we talked some months ago about wording and how wording has become reality to us now? Wording has become reality. Going to church. Which church? Since you're going there, which one? If they told you, okay, I do go to church, but I go to a church where the pastor's a female, and we have 3-year-olds that serve throughout a deaconship, and that's what we do. That's the church I go to. They go to church, though. In their world, they go to church. Does that constitute okay? Is that cool enough? Because they go to church. What is going to church? Or does the church assemble? You see the issue here? And it'll become more pronounced in a minute.
They don't even go to church. They don't even have a pastor.
Here we go.
That they're submitted to.
They don't have a pastor they're submitted to. What if they are the pastor? What if they don't go to church because they're a pastor? They just haven't started a YouTube channel yet. They just want your help to start a YouTube channel and do what you're doing. Do they still need to be under another pastor? Listen to what Hebrews says. 13. Obey your leaders and submit to them, for they watch over your souls as those who must give an account. To this end, allow them to lead with joy and not grief, for that would be of no advantage to you. So let's do ourselves a favor real quick and do the most obvious thing and find out if what that is about is what we think it's about, shall we? So let's go to the whole of Hebrews 13, as we ought to do. All right, let's see here. Good. This is starting from verse 7. Remember those who rule over you, who have spoken the word of God to you, whose faith follow, considering the outcome of their conduct. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Do not be carried about with various and strange doctrines, for it is good that the heart be established by grace, not with foods which have not profited those who have been occupied with them. We have an altar from which those who serve the tabernacle have no right to eat. For the bodies of those animals whose blood is brought into the sanctuary by the high priest for sin are burned outside the camp. What is this talking about? Who is this being addressed to? Who is this being addressed to? Does that sound a little bit weird to you? That the descriptions doesn't sound a whole lot like us? Let's continue reading. Therefore, Jesus also, that he might sanctify the people with his own blood, suffered outside the gate. Therefore, let us go forth to him outside the camp, bearing his reproach. For here we have no continuing city, but we seek the one to come. Therefore, by him, let us continually offer the sacrifice of praise to God, that is, the fruit of our lips, giving thanks to him and his name. But do not forget to do good and to share, for such sacrifices God is well pleased. This is context, okay? Obey those who rule over you and be submissive, for they watch out for your souls as those who might give an account. Let them do so with joy and not grief, for that would be unprofitable for you. Let me ask the elephant in the room question. Is that verse talking about your spiritual gifts of leadership, teaching, prophecy, being under the directives of a leader? Yes or no? Going to ask it again. Is any of that mentioning your gifts given to you by God, telling you to submit that gift and its sharing only by the directive of a pastor? Yes or no? This is the problem with picking a verse out to fit a narrative.
Hey, don't start a YouTube channel then. You know what I mean?
So they can't start a YouTube channel if they don't have a pastor to tell them to go start a YouTube channel. Wow.
Because you're going to do more damage than you're going to do good.
So who gave you the okay to do your YouTube channel? Oh, wait, you were a pastor. You could do it on your own.
And that's not me saying it. That's what the Bible teaches.
That is not what it teaches. It does not say that. First of all, you say it doesn't say this, and great teacher and great wording in the word. Now, it doesn't say anything about the YouTube thing, but now you're saying that's what it says. Let me get this right. You get to tell me that in the Beatitudes and in the prior verse, it never mentioned if you can speak well, if you can do that. It's not saying that, so that doesn't apply there. It doesn't say anything about your gifts in this verse, but somehow it's supposed to apply. When you want to include what you want, it's supposed to fit. When it doesn't include what you want, then it doesn't fit. What kind of nonsense is that? That is not what the verse is saying. Not even remotely. Does the verse say, if you're going to start a YouTube channel, make sure you're a part of a church? Does it say that? No. If I'm taking the way you break down stuff, you did the exact same thing. Does it say that you're supposed to be a great speaker? No. Love. You put that there. You started interjecting all kinds of crap that you say isn't there. The one time it doesn't say, you interject crap, and now all of a sudden it's okay.
The Bible is very clear about this.
Really? Really clear? It says YouTube in there? It says YouTube channel in there? That verse that you read? Clear, crystal clear, right? It says don't start anything without being part of a church. That's what it says. Please tell me if it says don't do anything if you're not part of a church. Please tell me that. Does it say that? Show me where.
What must be inside of everything that we do, which, by the way, which some of us, that is teaching. You know what I mean? That is a gift that some of us have. For some of us, we should get up in front of the brothers and sisters. We should preach. We should give a word, or you know, stand up in the public square and provide a defense of the faith, right? Or
so now, make up your mind. Does he need the pastor to tell him that's okay? Only on YouTube?
Or maybe even call out false teachers or whatever it is, right? But what must be inside of all of that is the quality of character that identifies you as a disciple of Jesus.
But you just said something completely different. You just accused them of not going to church. And if they don't go to church, they shouldn't be saying anything. Now you're saying if it's on the inside and the character, which is it? Which is it?
In John 13, Jesus calls it love. In Galatians 5, Paul calls it the fruit of the Spirit. Right? In the last video on the prodigal son, I said that we all need to be gracious party throwers, right? In the spirit of our Heavenly Father. This is all getting at the same thing, ladies and gentlemen. If you do not have those qualities of character, where people can see those qualities in you and think of Jesus, if you've not developed this type of fruit, And certainly if you have no desire to even try to develop that.
What are you talking about? Define the fruit, define love. You're not doing any of that. You're just speaking a whole lot of topical soliloquy crap that has no bearing on anything in reality. What is the love you're talking about? What's love? Just tell me what the love is. What are you talking about, love? What is love? What is like Jesus? Define that. It's easy to say, define it.
You need to sit down and shut your mouth.
Where
people can see those qualities in.
Listen.
Right? In the spirit of our Heavenly Father. This is all getting at the same thing, ladies and gentlemen. If you do not have those qualities of character, where people can see those qualities in you, and think of Jesus, if you've not developed this type of fruit, and certainly if you have no desire to even try to develop that, you need to sit down and shut your mouth.
So the quality matters more than the message. So let me get this right. If you don't think the person's delivery is Christ-like, forget what they're saying. They need to sit down and shut up. I want to get this 100% clear. So what delivery would constitute me shutting up? What kind of delivery, my fruit, would you consider not Christ-like in order for me to shut up? Being loud? John the Baptist was loud. Being combative? Peter was combative. Flipping tables? Jesus did the same thing. So tell me, what quality would constitute me sitting down and shutting up? Oh, wait, I don't have what? Leadership? I'm not submitted to leadership? Please tell me.
We don't need you.
Oh.
You will not bless the brothers and the sisters. You will actually do the exact opposite. Why? Because you're disobeying the word of God. Period.
Listen to this.
Now, does that mean that you should never say anything, that you should do nothing to learn about the scripture and the teaching of Jesus because you'll never speak at all? No, that's not what I'm saying. When you want to get out there and engage others on behalf of the Lord, I'm just saying you need to think of two things, right? Calling and character.
I must think about that. Okay.
That's what God desires.
So how would you know what my calling is? Just a real quick question here. How will you know what another person's calling is? What if you have the character of Jesus wrong? What if your characterization of Jesus is 100% wrong and you're trying to put that on somebody else? Because as to this point, you have not described the character of Jesus. Not once. You haven't described love. So how is a person hearing you going to know what any of that looks like? You haven't told anybody what the characters you're talking about when it comes to God. You haven't told anybody what love is. You just said they need love. You haven't told anybody what these fruits are, but they're supposed to just know. But if they say they just know and they're not part of a church, they need to sit down and shut up.
It's twofold, okay? This is a twofold enterprise, but a lot of us only think it's one. And that's the problem. We got a lot of people online right now that get all kinds of likes for saying true things about Christ without being Christ-like.
What is that? What is Christ like? You said it 6 times now, and you have yet to define it. You talk about teachers. You're supposed to be one, a former pastor. Wouldn't it behoove you to flesh that out for people to understand what you're talking about? Wouldn't it behoove you to come forward and say, when I say like Christ, this is what I mean? Wouldn't it behoove you to do that? Doesn't what you're saying leave a whole lot of interpretation up to people? So now I can say, well, I am being Christ-like. Then you can say, no, but you haven't told me what your version of Christ-like is. So I can tell you I am being Christ-like. I have nothing to go on. I have no basis. At least not on your end. Christ-like and love. Okay, what's that? I'm not telling you.
Do you understand?
No, we don't. That's the problem. We don't.
The Bible says that simply being a good speaker and teacher is not enough.
Where does it say that? Where does it say that? Oh my gosh. You know, he's going to go back to, well, it says, though I speak with the tongues of man and of angel and have not love, but you haven't defined love. You say it's not enough, but you can't tell me what the extra part to make it enough is. You haven't defined anything.
We have to be like Christ when we speak.
Tell me how.
When we teach.
How?
When we engage others.
How?
And for some of us, when we leverage our online platforms, right? Or
how?
Or else we need to be quiet and sit down. And look, I got news for you, ladies and gentlemen. There are people on social media with tons of influence, tons. And they say they're Christians and they say true things about the Bible and they say true things about God, but they have zero desire to look like Jesus.
What is that? I just don't understand this.
The thought of evaluating themselves in light of the Beatitudes or Galatians 5 has never once crossed their mind. And that really bums me out.
So let me get this right. So like Christ is the Beatitudes. So that's it. That's what you mean by like Christ, the Beatitudes. I want to make sure I get this right. The Beatitudes. That is where you draw your idea of Christ-like from. The Beatitudes. Blessed are they that when men revile and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake, rejoice, and I say, and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for so persecuted they the prophets before you. That was the number 11 that he didn't want to read. That is your idea of be like Christ. Now, here's my other question. Am I supposed to be like him in every way? In every way. Am I supposed to be like him in every way? Okay. If it's every way, am I supposed to sometimes be aggressive when getting my point across? Because he was that way, by the way, on more than one occasion. Quite stern, actually. So where's your marker? So in your words, I'm supposed to be, in your words, this is what I'm supposed to be. Act like I'm poor in spirit. I don't know what that means to you when you hear poor in spirit. I'm supposed to mourn. I'm supposed to be meek. Hunger and thirst after righteousness. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be long before you even do anything at all. That should be your number one priority throughout your life. I'm supposed to be merciful. That should be a natural state for all believers. Pure in heart. Peacemaker. And persecuted. That is being Christ-like. I want to make sure I get that. That's what your definition of Christ-like is. Okay, well, if that's a definition, then I want you to clarify some other things within it. What is poor in spirit? And what am I mourning for?
Some of us need to realize that we jumped into ministry too quickly. And we need to go sit under an older, wiser Christian that can disciple us properly in those particular fruits before getting back out there.
Wow. Show me that. Show me that. Now, you said it. Show me. I know it says young men submit to elders. Where does it say what you just said? That's all. Just show me where it says what you just said.
You know what I mean?
No, I don't. That's what I'm asking. What does that mean?
I've said this before, but I started this ministry back in 2013. You know, so do the math. I'm a 12-year-old overnight success. You know, I mean, like, and those 12 years were extremely hard.
Did you submit yourself to any pastor to learn anything? No, because you were a pastor, huh?
They were extremely difficult. A lot of trial, suffering, testing happened in those 12 years.
So it's only good for you to go through it, but not somebody else. I'm confused. I'm so confused right now. Are you saying it's a good thing or is it a bad thing?
A lot of failure, all of which forced me to get on my knees and trust the Lord.
Oh, good. Then some people should do it. I'm glad you said it. So good. Everybody should do it. If it's forcing you to get to your knees and seek the Lord, everybody out there, go start your own YouTube channel. Start it from scratch. You know why? You'll encounter failure. You'll encounter pressure, and it will drive you to your knees to find God. Awesome. How is that bad? It did it for you, but it won't do it for anybody else. Only you.
To get to the point where, because if you had asked me, like, when I first started this ministry, hey, do you want to, like, have a large reach? Do you want to do the things that your heroes, you know, like Greg Kokel,
Heroes,
Francis Schaeffer, you know, J. Warner Wallace. I mean, who can you, Sean McDowell, like, do you want to do what they're doing to the level of success that they're doing? I would have said, absolutely, sign me up. Can I do it today? Right? But the Lord knew better.
So wait. I want to make sure I get this right. So for you, the Lord knew better. For everybody else, they need to be under some older head that's wiser.
The Lord knew better. Had I just gotten out there with, you know, where I'm at right now, 12 years ago, this would have been a disaster. I would have ruined it. And the thing is, like, I'm still striving to be extremely careful about my character and how my tone. And I mean, to me, I don't even do it perfectly. Like, I'm trying to walk this balance. And I think
you mean you're working on your delivery? Let me get this right. You're working on your delivery and how you speak. Wait. All that matters is love, right? You have love, so don't worry about it. Hey, don't worry about your delivery. It's the fruit, right? It's the fruit, Nate. Don't fear, man. You got love. And you never defined what love was, but you're like Christ. I mean, you never told us what that is either outside of the Beatitudes, so don't worry about it. But at the same time, you started this, nobody to report to. You did it, and Christ met you and brought you to a good place. But when other people say they're going to do it and ask you for help, you don't want to help them because they don't go to church. You couldn't be the older head. So let me get this right. Hold on. I'm going to take you down. I'm done with this. Let me get this right. You, Nate, former pastor, talks to somebody that wants to start a YouTube channel. They don't go to church. You, former pastor, having been through 12 years of God's tutelage online, you're meaning to tell me that you couldn't take them under your wing to show them the ways of Christ? They have to go to a church. You couldn't be the church to them and tutor them in how to be a fruitful Christian while doing a YouTube channel. You couldn't do that? That's a bridge too far? Yeah, I'm done with you. I ain't got nothing to listen to you about no more. I really don't. I really don't. There's nothing wise about your instruction because there is no instruction. It's a bunch of topical statements with no basis to them. You give me a bunch of things to say and act like, but you won't describe what that's supposed or how I get it. Then you tell me I have to go to church in order to do it, but then you tell me you didn't do it either. You didn't do that. You started your own ministry, and I'm just going by what you say, buddy. You started your own ministry, and if you had done it like you did now, it would have been a failure. So which means it doesn't matter if you have a church or not. You'd fail. Because you didn't do it with the way you're asking everybody else to do it. But it worked. And God met you there. So and now you are at this place 12 years later listening to Lecrae and Jackie Hill Perry. Two people still dabbling in hip hop. And they're trying to teach you about teaching. Amazing.
What the?
Listen. If it's one thing I really don't understand is this. How there are people out there that hold this hierarchy in such a high regard that it's above Christ operating in you. I don't know how we got to that point. That if you don't putting yourself under a pastor and they never tell you what type, where, church, they don't say nothing. There are no descriptions, just pastor, leadership. They don't tell you what looks like good leadership because they can't even tell you what love is. They can't tell you what being like Christ is. They have no definition for any of that stuff other than being quiet, calm, and delivering everything nice and soft. That's Christ-like. You have to be passive, I guess. I don't know because they never tell you. Then they say they want to see fruit, but they never tell you what that fruit is. While at the same time, he's bragging about being an overnight success. Success how? Numbers? The same thing you're dogging other people about, you have? You don't tell me what love is. You just say love. You don't tell me what being Christ-like is. You just point me to some Beatitudes. And you never break down any of the Beatitudes. You just read them. But you want me to be like it. And you tell me some pastor is supposed to dictate my gift when the gift wasn't from the pastor to begin with. When blatantly in the word, it tells you that when they come together, each one has. So it obviously is not at the direction of the leader. It doesn't get delegated by the leader. The Spirit does that. But you didn't mention that once. Then you tell me that you've been contemplating this concept for forever. And as a pastor, you never decide to back down from your platform just long enough to figure it out. You continued on the platform while having this question. It didn't behoove you to go to a leader like you keep suggesting other people do to get this figured out. You said it was a question in your mind for a long time, suggesting other people be under the leadership of somebody else. You didn't take the time to drop your platform long enough to go talk to your leader about the questions you're having. You couldn't do that. Unless, of course, you don't have one because you're the leader. But if you do have a leader, why wouldn't you take the time to figure out something as detrimental as that? You see it as such a big deal that people shouldn't do it if they don't have leadership telling them how. You said that, but you didn't take the time to stop long enough to figure it out. So it obviously wasn't that big of a deal. Until, of course, a former homosexual and a person that can't claim the name of God told you about it. Who both still dabble in the homosexual world, one going to Diddy parties and one still doing hip hop. Once they talk, all of a sudden now you listen. That's the bombshell. A former faggot and somebody who still can't figure out who God is, that's who you're going to listen to. That makes sense to you? Okay. That's amazing. While they still, no, mind you, both of them are still in the exact same spot they were before God. They're still in it. While denouncing it, they're still in it. Still hanging out with the same people, doing the same stuff they did before. They didn't separate themselves like they were supposed to, but them you listen to. That's your line you listen to. Amazing. You listen to a woman who's not supposed to have the role she's in. You're not going to rebuke that, but you want to take people to the Bible. You're a weird one, bro. You're a weird one. You out here condemning people for starting their YouTube channel while listening to a whole woman sit down there talk about the Bible like she's a preacher without her husband. That's incredible. That is incredible. While saying that she is the Bible teacher and not him. Wow. That is some crazy work, bro. That's some crazy work. Because she was one. That's what she was. She was that she was a practicing homosexual for a long time. Since she was the age of 17, she was doing it. She's now 36. She's married now, 4 kids or something like that. Still dabble into hip hop. I know plenty of people don't have problems with hip hop, all that stuff. I get it. You do you, whatever your conscience tells you. But you can't, in one vein, be calling out the genre for its demonic behavior while dabbling in it. You can't be doing that. Listen, you can't be telling me that hip hop is detrimental to your Christian walk, and just because you slap the word Christian in front of it changes it all of a sudden. That's not how that works. See, you're trying, okay, I have a problem with alcoholism. Well, it's Christian alcoholism. Don't worry about it. I have a problem with violence, but don't worry, it's Christian violence. I have a problem with drugs, but don't worry, it's Christian drugs. I don't like lap dancing or pole dancing, but don't stress. Now I do Christian lap dances and pole dancing. I walked the streets before, but don't worry, I Christian street walk now. Now I give a better discount than I did before because I love people. Amazing. If we would stop making this about ourselves, we wouldn't have this problem. Listen, if mankind would stop making the Christian walk about themselves, about us, we wouldn't have this problem. If we would stop saying about what I do and what I influence and what I say, if that we would stop doing that, you'd be amazed how many people would just be like, wow, this is about Christ. It's all about Christ. No, it's become about us. How well can I imitate Christ? Or how about this? How about the imitation he's talking about is in his death? And then after that, to live as Christ. How difficult is that? Because that's the word. I don't know how difficult that would be for people. They're all still trying to hold on to something, some semblance of what they had. That's what it is. And it will always be good for the goose, but not for the gander. Always. Anyway, I have no doubt that this will come back to someone somewhere at some point being absolutely livid at me for what I said. That's cool. Be livid, stay livid. But show me in the word where I'm wrong. That's what I always ask you to do. Show me in the word where I'm wrong. Like to get your thoughts on a church that does background. No, don't go there. Don't go there. Don't do that. Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there. That's as bad as them having memberships. Whenever a church tells you we're going to place membership here, don't do that. Don't go there. like signing an NDA for a church kind of stupidness. No, don't go there. What is my background? I was a sinner. What now? I'm saved. That's my background check. What's your background? I am a sinner. But I want that to no longer be the case. So I'm coming here. That's the only background check anybody needs. Do you remember when they in the word where the church was rebuked for sitting people in certain locations because of how they looked? Background checks. Anyhow, we'll be back tomorrow going over the idea of Paul being a false apostle. We'll see if that is true from the word, not from history, from the word. It shouldn't be very long podcast because it's pretty easy to prove that he wasn't, but we'll do it anyway. And we'll go from there. Okay. Savage Patriots will be on today at 6:30 Eastern. Scrolling at the bottom, you know what to do. Unless, of course, you want to check with your pastor first. I mean, yeah, I know, being facetious. Anyway, we'll see you guys then. Have a grand rest of the day. Wisdom calls to you from the streets, so please, please, please find wisdom. Peace.
Hold tight the dreams, for if dreams die.